It's a beautiful Monday morning, and welcome to Atlantic Television Network. And it's time for Blowout. And the Blowout is the syndicated live program of the network where we hold conversation on special interest topics. We bring you news, events, and stories through our correspondent reports, experts' opinions, and stakeholders' analysis. Today on Atlantic Television Network Blowout, we take off with Anchor's Chat. We will be updating our social register. This is coming from Akwa Ibom State Governor Eno. And then in marine security, federal government set up coast guards to set up coast judges to order. An election case is still Governor Mutfuang calls for peace over court to ruling protests. An election cases, coalition says court judgments are now subject to influences. On civil service rules, IGP demands the officers' retirement at 60 years old, 35 years old in service. Unionism, petroleum tanker drivers threatening to exit umbrella body in Nupeng. In Ondo State, we have a patrol team destroys 15,775 liters of illegally refined automotive gas oil. I guess on the show this morning we have Reverend Humphrey Nsirim. He's a community leader and a leadership coach, but he's speaking to us as a public affairs analyst. We also have Dr. Wambu Gabriel. He's Executive Director, Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness. All of these we'll have for you on the show this morning. But you know what? I know I'm already at my work. I know you may be trying to rush to work as well. Not to worry, we got you covered anytime, any day. How do I mean? To continue to watch the show from wherever you are in the world, as a matter of fact, just log on to AtlanticTelevisionNetwork.tv. There you can watch us live right now and always. And you can also log on to download the Atlantic Television Network app from the App Store. It's simply ATN Live. And do well to also watch us on social media, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network now. This is all we can bring to you right about now. But don't go away, because when we return from this break, we're bringing you Anchor's Chat. So stay with us. Very good to have you back on Atlantic Television Network Blowout, and it's time for Anchor's Chat. Pastor Umar Eno, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, gives approval for the state social register to be updated, meant for the vulnerable indigenes of the state to enable the government to reach out to them whenever the need arises. The governor made this call during the monthly government house prayer service in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State's capital, where he said, "This week we will be updating a social register. All our PAs in the world will be helping us. We all have work to do, so I ask that we please show some interest. All our pastors, our fathers come from the place, show some interest in the social register. It will help us. That is what we want to be using as a state to help our people." He said, "I'd like to emphasize that this is not another political jamboree. Let's make sure that it is for everyone who belongs to the category, whether they voted for us or not. If we bring those divisions now, it won't help us. So the stakeholders, please check to make sure they don't put the names and bank accounts of people who are not from your village. I don't expect my name or any of your names to be on the social register," he said to those present. "Please don't do it. It is meant for people that we can reach with very little things to support them. Please don't politicize everything. It is not a PDP register. It is a social register for Akwa Ibomites. So long as that person is from there and you understand that the person is on that cadre, please put their names. It is not only for civil servants. We know those ones already." Okay. I think at this point, maybe too early in the race to say that Governor Umar Eno seemed to have his head in the right direction. I quickly go back to the pre-campaign or the nomination period, if you may, when he was the chosen one. I think there's a statement that came out to say, he said that they're going to be having it's Friday, like a Friday, and a happy hour. Yes, thank you, happy hour. And then that when they have this happy hour, like it's way of like getting people together. A lot of people took him for a drunk. A lot of people mocked him and said all kinds of things. But I think looking back at that, his happy hour statement, that it's beginning to have it be a point that this man clearly have his head on the right place. Clearly has a people in his mind. He really wants to make Akwa Ibomites happy. And I think in recent time, I may say, Akwa Ibomites seem to be, having it well when it comes to governance or governors. Yeah, from Obong Atta to Godswill Akpabio to now the former one, Emmanuel Udom, and now you have the present one, Pastor Umar Eno, which clearly shows that we need to begin to look at Akwa Ibom State differently from how we've been looking at it. Now here is with them at the grassroots who have to take responsibility. I don't know. It seemed like he heard me talk about this a few days ago, but maybe not. But it just shows that the man knows what he's about, that governance will be about the people. And I honestly think we need to begin to spotlight Akwa Ibom more than we have been doing, to really understand the persons who get into power, why they are so different from their peers. I mean, this is like ringing in the indicator of the likes of Borno State, the governor of Borno State. But I think there is something about these individuals, these three men that have passed through there, that clearly shows that the people is at the heart of what they are doing. And also how they try to communicate to the grassroots, their projects, the things they are doing. And I find that very, very interesting. I find that very ingenious. And I think that it's something that we all should begin to look at, especially other governors. What is the importance of social register? Like I said a few days ago, there is no proper development that can take place in a state, anywhere, without a comprehensive database of those who are living in the state. And I remember talking about the crucial parts of this being that there is need for us to have comprehensive database. I talked about what is the big deal, having NPCs, set up offices at these wards where children who turn 18 can easily go in and update themselves as adults and now make sure that they and even INEC, as a matter of fact, have these offices or these systems. All you need to do is go register and then pick up your card at the designated time, and voila. You have all of these things are not rocket science. They are things we can begin to do on a daily basis to ensure that we have the right team and system in place. You cannot say you're developing a state, for instance, when you don't know the number of persons who are indigent in the state. You don't know the number of persons who are the physically disabled person in your state. You don't know the number of speech persons, in your state. You don't know the number of male in your state. You don't know the number of children being born in a day in your state. I think it's a ridiculous attempt at development for anyone to say you're carrying out a project without knowing the number of persons and their designation. Nobody is perfect at the end of the day, but when you see people like this, it is important to ensure that you spotlight what they are doing. The critical parts of social register, though he is talking about it from the angle of helping indigent persons, but that's also part of social development, because by the time you know the number of persons, you know what you are allocating to each local government, you know what you're sending to each state. In a social register, as the case may be, like updating it, getting us to know what it is. I also want to suggest to the Akwa Ibom state government to go beyond gathering this data. I'm sure you have a state website. Ensure that it's accountable. Okay, Christmas is coming. I have 20 bags of rice or 1,000 bags of rice and 2,000 pieces of chicken I want to distribute. Now I know that to a large extent, when these things are released to the community, these are the people who are going to get it, those who genuinely need it. So it's not just a government to come in there. A company can decide, in course of delivering on their corporate social responsibility, decide to say, okay, these are the number of out-of-school children in Akwa Ibom State, for instance. These are all the things that should be contained in a social register. In the month of January 2023 to December 2023, these are the number of out-of-school children. Amongst this number, we have 10 of them who are girls, we have 15 of them who are boys, and this is their age range. So if a Vivian comes up to say, okay, I want to do something for Akwa Ibom this year, I can pick up this, okay, I want to pay the school fees of 15 of these kids, teenagers who are writing YA. This is how, these things are not supposed to be rocket science, basically. So I think Governor Omo should, give them money or contribute. In fact, the community can even look at it and say, okay, don't give us this money in piecemeal. We are producing palm oil. We're palm oil producers. We need a plant where we can process our palm fruits. When we get them out, if it's owned by a private person, for instance, it may cost them 10,000 naira to have to process maybe 1,000 kg of palm fruits, from the red oil to the PK oil, that's the one coming directly from the nuts inside the kernel. That's what I mean. It may cost them more to refine the fiber into something else. So such a community can be empowered. Instead of giving them 2,000 naira every month, the government can actually, maybe with a PPP arrangement, install some of these plants in these communities. And now they can begin to develop their own source of income, build their own source of income, invest in things like that. And at the end of the day, get them a cassava processing plant, for instance, so that it makes the farming processes easier for them. I think these are all some of the important. The social register, because social register is not just enough to gather those numbers, it's also to clearly define. If a politician, doesn't come to dash money in Christmas, you don't need that. So that it also helps them to have an independent mind in terms of governance and who should take the lead amongst them. So kudos once again to the Akwa Ibom State Governor.